The Rebbe always wanted that. Good morning. It's a special morning right after Pesach, and we can have hot chometz. We'll talk about this in a minute. But the Rebbe always wanted that after Yom Tov there should be a kinus Torah. Why? To connect the energy of the Yom Tov to the rest of the year is through Torah. It wasn't, obviously, it's not Shayach and Erev Shabbos, so it's the second best that we're connecting Sunday morning to the rest of to the rest of the summer. Mitzvah Hashem, that we should have a good minyan and we should have a good breakfast, and Mitzvah Hashem, Mitzvah Hashem, we should continue it in Yerushalayim Mirakodesh.
Amen.
Okay. As long as we're still in Golus, there's a shaila about Sfira, and there is a certain anhog in Sfira. If it will change when Mashiach will come, I don't know. Depends. I mean, the Kabbalim say that Sfira is a time of din, so I'm not sure that will change. But definitely the negative things that are here in Sfira Saima might change. And we'll hear what Mashiach will tell us about. But in the meantime, someone asked me a question. They're getting lessons to learn an instrument. Could they do it in the days of Sfira Saima? So let's read a little bit. The funny thing is that people are so nizar. I mentioned it last year, 2 years ago. People are so nizar, and it's a good thing. My uncle told me he grew up. We're not. So he said the one thing that was very good. They didn't have the TV, and the Sfira at Megabus Matonish watching TV. Sfira didn't watch TV. The whole year they watch TV, but Sfira didn't watch TV. So that's a very good thing.
Like you're not supposed to listen to music.
The funny thing is, the Shulchan Aruch never says that it's also to hear music in the days of Sfira. However, it's minig Yisrael Torah here, and it's brought almost mefurish in the Aruch HaShulchan, and it's not something to take lightly. So therefore, the question becomes, sometimes there are people that need it very strongly, for whatever reasons, anxiety, to soothe them. Person is working, the person is driving, or here in this case, the person asked the question was they get rusty if they're taking lessons, and they're not going to get lessons now for 6 weeks, and they might lose their skill. So what's the din? So the Alter Rebbe in Siman Erechaim and Siman Tov Tzad Gimel Noigim Shaloi Lisa Isha V'Shaloi L'Staper Ben Pesach L'Atzeres. Now, there's a special thing that we don't do these things between Pesach and Atzeres, between Pesach and Shavuos.
It's a minhag. It's a nahag.
Right? It's a minhag. Shemesabel Mechov Dal Talmid Ta'alofim Etamid Rebbe Akiva Shemesib Yom Malolu. There's 3 minhagim when we do it. L'Pol Chabad does it all 49 days. And L'Gabe music, a lot of poskim hold that everyone should do all 49 days. Aval Mutar Latzos Shiduchim Balon Nisuyin. A person could do a shidduch. Because someone else might beat him to the punch. Like as our minhag that we make when there is a shidduch, we make a lachaim, or some people call that a vort. It's a minhag Yisrael to make a suda. We spoke about it before Pesach. It's called a sudas mitzvah. They shouldn't have dancing. But the Rebbe doesn't mention a word about music. It's the Magen Avraham says not to make rikudim machoilus. Aruch HaShulchan adds this word. Aruch HaShulchan says if it's also, so kolshken, you're not allowed to do plizemer if you can't do dancing. So versteht sich, that's the added line from the Aruch HaShulchan. What do you say?
They have quiet music, not dancing with it. Very mellow, nice, quiet music. Doesn't make you. Yes, I don't know.
Right. So, right. So the thing is, it's very just like I mean, the truth is, there's the law, the Shulchan Aruch Siman Tov Kuf Samach says that the Gemara says those are long soitel. It's daf ches and it's also daf mem ches daf mem tes. That from the Churban Zemeis Hamikdash they made a gzeira you're not allowed to listen to music. The Rambam holds it's no music altogether, and that's what Shulchan Aruch paskins. The Rashi says it's only those that are gilin bekach, who wakes up every morning, goes to sleep, eats lunch with some live music, v'chulu. So Lepoil, we have this generation. I mean, who you ever heard of people that are makbid not to hear music? So there's a Chelkas Yaakov who says that maybe the takona that Chazal originally made, not to hear music after Churban Beis Hamikdash, only applies to live music, and doesn't apply to any recording. Okay, and I'm just telling you that there'll be negay in a minute. There's a discussion how you're allowed to listen to music. Anyway, let's read a Digris Moshe in Siman Oyer Chaim Chelik Gimel Siman Pei Zayin. Vine be'echet sheroitz lelamed lo'oyer b'kli zemer imol parnasa muter ave me esvira d'lididei in zinyin simcha. Person that teaches music, and it's a days of Sfira, he's allowed to. Vimul anosei, also, af lalamed, the gam hu anoah, v'os v'mei asvira, binyan simcha lefi aminig, v'gam b'chol hashona. So, that also, lefi Rambam, Perik Rishon metanis loch yodav, because of b'machabe b'shulchan aruch tzemen, tov kuf samach sev gimel, b'zimra de klishir, v'roi lahach mekamoisem. Avsher Amo b'shem Yeshem Rimater Shalom B'Mishte. Avalayin Limchas B'Yad Mekilim Avsher Amo Mater Shalom B'Mishte. Ve'in Gilim Cheno Adin L'Shmoya Zimra Damona. During the year, he says you can be makel to listen to music. Aber Mei Sfira also L'Kol Alma. So basically, the Igros Moshe thinks that the teacher is allowed to teach, but the student is not allowed to learn. So if for the guy who's
they go together,
if there's no student, there's you find the Goyish student. You find the Goyish student.
Otherwise, the thing.
The guy, you can find the Goyish student. That's what he says. I'm just reading what he said. So Lepoil, it's a little harsh to say that no one should listen to any music, any recording in the Sfira. And so I just went and I looked in Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph. And Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph, it talks about the halachas of Bein HaMetzorim. Here I'm looking and I see the Igros Moshe, others all say no, you're allowed to teach, but you can't learn. But I'm looking now in Hilchas Bein HaMetzorim. So in Hilchas Bein HaMetzorim, I'm finding that there's room to negotiate.
But if you can teach, you have a student. They have to learn. So you can teach, but you cannot learn.
A Goyish student. Find a Goyish student. So
no.
There's Kinyan Torah. There's there's Kovitz and Beis Levi from Rav Osner who says no, not allowed to. Okay. But if you look in the halachas of Bein HaMetzorim, you look in Bein HaMetzorim, so you see that there is in the beginning of Siman Tov Kuf Nun Aleph, it says the same thing that you're allowed to make a shidduch. You're not allowed to get married, but you're allowed to make a shidduch. Shemi Yakdimenu Acher, and you could make also a mesiba. And Morgan Avram Sevkot Yud says, but you're not allowed to do rukudim and mechoilus. You're not allowed to dance. And the Prima Godim there says, how about someone that his business is a klezmer, and he plays? How many Jewish customers he have already? He has a lot of goyishev. He plays in the bottom mishtos shel goyim. How many Jewish gigs does he get, especially in the 3 weeks? Nothing, right? But the goyim are hiring the klezmer. Wow. So is he allowed to do for his parnasa? Now he says doimet chalamoyet davar oved is mekel. The Kaf HaChaim brings, he says, could be that the Prima Godim was only mekel in the 3 weeks, but not in the 9 days, or for the Svardim was Shavuot Shechol B'Tisha B'Av. Maybe the Prima Godim was only mekel in general in the 3 weeks, but not mamish in the 9 days. But anyway, so we see that the Prima Godim has this idea that you're allowed to do it for parnos. Okay. And maybe even in the 9 days, or maybe not. But you're allowed to do parnasa. Okay, we get that. So the question is, the student that is learning is not doing it necessarily for parnasa. Now, there could be a student that is doing it for parnasa. He's learning now an umnus because he wants to be a klezmer. He wants to be a klezmer. And that's just saying that's parnasa. That's the same thing. The question is, if he's learning it not for parnasa, he's learning it as a skill, and it's not parnasa. So that's the question here. Okay.
That could be over if it's for parnasa.
Right. Parnasa, we said already that mutter.
As a student, that one thing if you take a class in music, like he's majoring in music, he's going,
No, usually that's for
so
parnasa.
it could be that,
Usually that's for parnasa.
yeah.
Okay. Now we're talking about if it's not for parnasa. Okay. So there is. I found a tshuva. I found it through looking in a tshuva in Tzitz Eliezer. Zeiche Simcha, Reb Simcha ben Yitzchak Bamberger, who was a line of Rabbonim in Würzburg, Germany. This is the tshuva from Tov Reish Nun, 110 years ago. So he writes. Someone asked him someone asked him if in the 3 weeks, his son has music lessons. If his son could have the music lessons in the 3 weeks. So he said, yeah, he was mekel, but not in the Shavuot Shechol B'Tisha B'Av. And then at the end, he adds, or his son adds in the tshuva, he says, Ein Shut Maram Shik, Shehiter L'Ovel Toich Yud Beis Chodesh. Al and the same thing here, we can learn nearly the Avelus Yishon the Ben Metzonim Ein Choma Kol Kach Mavelus Tam Im Kem Matzon Raya L'Psak Moiri Vired. So I said, let me look in the Maram Shik. The Maram Shik says someone asked him a question. He prepaid for a year for his son to get music lessons. Then the mother, his wife, passed away. And he can't get, it's no backsies, no taxis. So he can't get his money back. And the shaila is if his children could go to the music lessons. Otherwise, he's losing the money.
And he's not available.
He's available. His children aren't available. He's available for 30 days. Children are for a year. And he already prepaid for the lessons. This was the shaila the Maram Shik has. It's in Yeridea and Simon Shin Samaches. So he has an interesting thing. He has a lomdus about Davar She'ein Miskaven. Usually we say, Isur, Davar She'ein Miskaven. If you didn't Miskaven for the Isur, it's mutter. However, we say Psikirei V'lo Yamus. The Chazal said, if you're going to take on Shabbos and take a chicken, cut off the head and say, I only want a toy. I want to give it to the little baby to play. So you can't say, I wasn't Miskaven. I didn't mean to kill the chicken. I only wanted to find a toy for my little son. So say no, because you know that obviously the chicken is going to die, so you can't say you're not miskaven. But there is some exceptions here. There's some that say that psikresha only applies to Shabbos, only applies to Isura Isa Torah, not Isura de Rabbanon. Some say that by there's a Ran that says by Reach, the Isura Reach. There's no such thing as psikresha. If you're miskaven, not miskaven. Same thing he says maybe lagabi music. You miskaven for the simcha, or you're not miskaven. You're not miskaven for the simcha. Student is not miskaven for the simcha. He's miskaven to learn. So then the l'chodesh should be mutter. And then at the end of the tshuva he says,
when he's playing the music, he's miskaven that he should play it well. He should play
right,
it
but not for the pleasure. But it's not for the simcha. Not for the simcha.
If they go hand in hand, in order to play music effectively, like anything you do.
Okay. The Maram Shik doesn't think that way. The Maram Shik, this is not miskaven for the simcha. But then he says, but look, in Hilchas Havelus we find, and this is something we covered before Pesach, that you're not allowed to even enter a wedding hall. So what you're going to the wedding hall, even for Zmatute Chosna Vekala, Shachronim think means the time of the music. But you didn't go in for the music. You went in to say Mazel Tov for the Chosna Kala. And still we see that the Shulchan Aruch is machmir. Why? Because he says the svara is because people that are looking, they don't know. They see the oval came in, it's disrespectful. So if these children are going to learn music, so they're playing the piano, they're playing a guitar, they're playing the fiddle. The person that's walking by on the street and sees the kid playing doesn't know Amaisa that he's practicing, that's Lislamed, there's not. It's a song and he's playing. So just like we say, Lagabe is Matute Chosan Lakala, that it's also, the guy is not Miskavim for Simcha.
It's in private.
It's, I get, but he didn't think of that chiluk.
Of course,
He didn't think of that chiluk. No, I hear. I'm just saying he didn't machalik. And then he says, therefore I think it's also. And then he says, anyway, it's aveda to teach your children music. Unless it's for parnasa. You're not allowed to have music. What kind of mishagas is this about music? Is it music? Yeah. So that's it. So the interesting thing is that this zeicha, this truva is, so this truva, the Maram Shik, the Gres Moshe, others bring it out, you see? So it's also, just like he said, it's also the Gabed Avelis of this child. So you see that also in Shavuot Shechol B'Tisha in the 3 weeks, and then the Sfira, it's also. Okay? But the same Maram Shik, this Tshuva Zeicha Simcha, Reb Simcha Bamberger, says no. He says, I see in the from this Maram Shik Arai Lakula. Avelus, which is very serious. You see the Fedish, that the Gemara, it's brought in the Gemara, it's not a minig. And we see that the Shulchan Aruch says he's matute chos and the kala. So therefore he came out at the end to say that's also. But the svara, he wasn't choices from the svara that with music the idea is simcha. And so as long as you're not miskaven, it's mutter. So therefore he says in the 3 weeks it's mutter to have your child learn music. You should be machmir in Shavuot Shechol B'Tisha B'Av. Now obviously, if someone thinks that in the 3 weeks you're allowed to teach your son music or your daughter music, in the days, in the 49 days of Sfiras, that would be mutter. So that's funny. The same Aram Shik that they bring Araya Li'isur, but it's true. The others bring Araya Laheter. It's true that the Maram Shik at the end says that the son that his mother passed away shouldn't go to music lessons. But you could say because Avelus is it's a din in the Gemara, and Shulchan learns that even Matute Chosen the Kali are not allowed to. That means that we're scared what people see, and it's disrespectful in Avelus of that's brought in the Gemara. But the type of Avelus that we're doing in the 3 weeks, maybe not Shavuot Shechol B'Tisha, which is more like a serious Avelus, but in the 3 weeks, so the type of minig, not their music, makel, it should be makel. I would just point out like this: you see a little bit of a line of thought. All those that are machmir, Moshe Feinstein, the Rav Osner, they both finish off saying anyway. All year it's also to listen to music. So it's a sfira. It's not allowed to listen to music. When you're teaching your son music, it's also. But if you're listening to music all year, so obviously you're not thinking that it's also to hear music all year. So why are you listening to music? Either you're relying on the Ramah. Many reasons. You're listening only to Jewish music, which is Shidduch of Tishbachis. Plus, it's on a tape. It's a recording. It's not live. Plus, that from the Zman Baal Shem Tov, we see that you need Tesefes and Avodas Hashem, the Simcha. It's helping them in general in life. But maybe before the days of Baal Shem Tov, Yidden were able to be besimcha with the potato and schmaltz Motzei Shabbos, and the whole week was Nimshach Simcha. But these days it doesn't work that way. And a person.
What about acapella? Will you be talking about acapella this morning?
So as Kol Sheken, I would think that acapella is mutter.
Not music.
About the acapella?
Yeah, I see back and forth, but there's nothing to hold water, because, like they said, there's nothing. The most you'll find is that the Mishnah, that the Aruch HaShulchan says, "Oser lazama b'kli zemer." Now, in those that look, Lapoil Minig Yisrael is not to listen to music, even if it's on a tape. All year we're makel, but there's other reasons to be makel. We're not just listening. Most of us here around the table are not just waking up to classical music and going to sleep to classical music. And maybe some people need it because they have anxiety, and that's a separate issue. But most of us listen to, most of us are listening to Yiddish music. So that's Shiras v'Tishbachas. And we're listening to it on a tape. So it's not live music. So, but we make a all year anyway. We make a all year. And you're going to tell me now in the sweetest Aimet to start, even a cappella should be osar. And what's the cappella? It's Shiras v'Tishbachas. And it's the simcha over there is very, very. Even if your brother is going to come out with some nice a cappella, did he come out yet? Yeah. So even I'm sure it'll be beautiful, but come on, the level of simcha here is going to be. Come on, it's not.
Some people like a cappella more than regular music. So beautiful.
I don't know who those people are.
Beyond the a cappella, some singers with their mouth can make it sound like an instrument.
Right.
Which you need to see.
I can't see any problem in a cappella, and I can't and Lamaisa. I think people that need music because of anxiety or other things should talk to it all individually. But this shaila, I would say that you could be makel for a child to learn music. However, you could say to the child that there is two ways of learning music. There is practicing songs again and again, Yishmaka songs, and then there's practicing just like notes, just practicing, not going song after song after song, just making sure that they don't get rusty. So if the kid wants to be makbid and do it a little and just doing the lesson and not so much practicing and playing. Nice. It's nice to do it that way.
How about music therapy? I have a friend, she's in music therapy, and she teaches the whole year music therapy.
Yeah, for her, again, we said there's three.
Okay.
There's parnasa, there's simcha. Parnasa, mutter. Simcha is the minute to ma'aser. We spoke in the middle. We spoke about a person that wants to learn lessons. But the Vaila, people asking about a cappella, it's hard for me to see why a cappella should be a problem, even if it's a gewaldige a cappella. Again, even if it's your brother and it's gewaldig and it's taka gewaldig and the M is gewaldig, it's hard to see a problem. Okay.
I know.
Cigarettes I know about, but what is cigarettes?
If you cut off it's a rhetorical question. If you cut off the head, won't it die?
That's
right.
There's in that case, it's
right. And it's just that the Madame Schick says that sometimes we say, I don't care if it's psikadesha. If it's not a miskaven, it's not miskaven.
So in the case like
he thinks that that's a Shabbos. No, you're not allowed to. That's a Shabbos, and it's the Raisa.
Yeah.
And it's something you're doing by Maisa.
Yeah.
But here it's a Derabon, and it's not Ilcha Shabbos. And it's also by music, and it's also something which it's like reach and mara. It's something that's not. It's not that you're doing with your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, he thinks that over there it's
more spiritual.
Right. This just just a question. I just took my little cowboys back to Texas. So the question is like this. Just a funny question. I looked online. I see it's nicht as pochen. The shaila didn't yet happen. The shaila didn't yet come to be so much. But say if they found a way to make a hybrid to breed two different animals. Say an extreme case, they found a way to take a gomel and a chazer and put it together, and now you have a mamzer that it chooses cut and has split feet, has the milus of the chazer and the milus of the gomel, a shmamel, whatever. A funny animal like this. So the emphasis I'm looking at.
So
that's a separate issue. But a guy went and did it. Now my shayla is, so I looked online. It's not so simple. They try. They have. There's like a whole bunch. Not fine. It's a very finite number. Maybe 15, 16 successful breedings that they have from different animals. Usually they're very closely related. Very, very closely related. a bison and a cow, an elk and a cow. Again, these are all kosher animals anyway. And the other ones were also within not kosher animals. Even like a sheep and a goat, they're having a very hard time. So if it's a hybrid or really it's one was nesgaber, because the chromosomes are so different between a sheep and a goat, that the scientists are arguing if it's considered really an hybrid or it's really one of the minim and it's not both. It seems like it's not something that's happening tomorrow. But theoretical case, if they're going to figure out how to put together a gomel achazan, yet. So we know that there's the Rogatchover has a chakira about other achronim asked, what are the simonim that we learned this week in the Pasha about the animal? Is it a siman or a sibah? Is it just an outer siman, how you know what's kosher or not? Or that's really what makes it kosher or not kosher? But here there's a beautiful word from the Rebbe, which I think will, is just a beautiful, in Pshuta Shel Mikra. The Rebbe asks, we're learning the chitas, if you're, this year, we learned Pasha Shmini twice. So we ended up learning this Pasha Chumash Rashi twice. And you learn, and also in Pasha today, you learn about the Simoni Kashos. And the Rebbe has always this thing that the Rashi answers every question of Pshuta Shel Mikra. Like, so for example, in the Torah doesn't tell you which kind of fish. The Torah just tells you that it has to have snapper v'kaskesses. It doesn't have snapper v'kaskesses. It's not kosher. Finish. Simple. Torah doesn't give you a list. The birds, the Torah gives you a list of 24. Rashi explains why. Because if you know these 24 birds, anything flying, you can catch it and check it in kosher. So that's why the Torah tells you the 24. Nice. Then Rashi says in this Pasha, why does the Torah tells you the simonim, the simonim that there is for a chagav, in order for it to be kosher? Why does the Torah have to tell you the names? So Rashi explains, and Rashi says it's negei l'maisa. Rashi says we understand which are the simonim for a chagav. The problem is, he says, us Ashkenazim, we don't have because the Torah says the name has to be chagav. So these simonim of grasshopper is not good enough. If you know all the simonim, it has to be that these simonim are attached to a grasshopper who has the name chagav. And we don't know. We know there's all kinds of grasshoppers, and we don't have a Kabbalah which one is called a chagav. So you could look at the simonim with your eyes, but it doesn't help because we don't have a Kabbalah which is called a chagav. So that's why the Torah has to tell it to you. Great. But
The
why is
Yammanite
it?
eat chagav.
Yeah, they have a Kabbalah. It's a big shaila. They'll say no, but you can't. But they take it. They have a Kabbalah. They say we do know which is a chagav, and we do have a Kabbalah, and they do eat chagavim with the simonim. Okay, so now years ago there was an infestation there. It's Israel of chagavim, and there was a min that the Yemenites say they have a Kabbalah's kosher, and it was years ago. The paper. A lot of them, they collected, they pickled them, and they cooked them, and they fried them, and they said if you deep fry them, it tastes mamish like French fries, and it's better. You don't need ketchup. Just tell you what. So
It's grapeshot.
Yeah, grasshopper. That's chagavim. Yeah, I mean, right. The Goyish world is now big in that, in the little insects.
They have no gluten.
Huh?
They have no gluten.
Yeah, they're
They're
okay.
gluten-free. Yeah.
So the shaila is, why does the Torah go into such length to tell us that the chazer and the gomal and the arneves and the shofon, and then in Parsha today all to tell you the kosher animals? Why does the Torah have to tell it to you? The Torah just has to tell you that you need to have two simonim, and the two simonim are maligeda and mafreses parsa, and that's it. And if it doesn't have the two, it's gandik. So the Rebbe says, Pshat, that Rashi doesn't even have to answer it. Why? The child knows. The Rebbe has this thing that the child that's learning, this child that the Rebbe is talking about, and the Rashi is talking, this kid learns it, and it's munach bekufsa. Whatever he learns, he chazes, and he knows. It doesn't matter that we learned it last week or the week before. it says in Parshas Vayishlach about the people that lived in Har Seir, and it says about the guy Ano, and Rashi says Hu Hashemotza Sayeimim Bamidbar. He found the Yeimim. So Rashi says it doesn't mean he found them. He discovered them. He made them. He was Marbia, a sus and a charmoid. He put them together and came out a pered. And Rashi says because his brother was his father. So his brother was his father. So he was a apostle. So he brought psulim into his world. It almost sounds like a riddle. So therefore he brought psulim into this world. So a child knows already that it's shaykh to do such a thing. Now he learned about it, that you could take a susana and a chamoir and put it together and you get a peret. So the child is wondering what happens if a person is going to put together two treif animals and going to put the shemona kashrus of this and put them together. Is it going to be kosher or not kosher? So therefore the Torah has to tell you the names of the not kosher animals to know
Even though
that even though you're going to do a trick, that they're going to stay today. And that's what the Mishnah says in Bechoros is haba min hator tor, haba min hatome tome, which many of the Rishonim read. That means that if the male or the female is not kosher animal, it's not going to help. There has to be that the male and the female that created this third animal, the male and the female, has to be both tahor, both kosher. Otherwise, the animal's not kosher. So, and the other hand, the Rebbe says in Parshas Re'eh, we find the Parshas Emer that it says that there's an animal that's not kosher for the mizbeach because he doesn't have split hooves. He's an animal. He's a shor kezaveis, which is klutis. The hooves are not split. Yeah. So you might think, so now he only has one siman tahara, so maybe he's not kosher to eat. So therefore, later in Parshas Re'eh, he gives you a list of all the kosher animals to tell you, that even though I told you for the mizbeach he's not kosher because his hoofs are not split, but that's only because it's a mum and it doesn't look good for the mizbeach. But really he's a shor, and therefore I don't care that he only has malageda, but he's bemis a kosher animal. So that's the answer to the shaila. If they will discover now how to do it, they never discovered yet how to put together a chazer and a gomel. But they try out different animals.
You said from the Rishon Bechoros it would be outright usher.
It seems that it would be usher, yeah. It would be usher to eat. Again, we're not talking about if you're allowed to make kilayim. We're talking about if a goy went and did it. And my question if I'm allowed to eat.
Now, did you just so?
Abomin hator tor, abomin hatome tome.
Did you? So, since you say it's not, it's just theoretical so far. There are no chubas.
I didn't see it. No,
of a ma'aseh where they would bring them to Bechoros and say it's.
No, I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it. I looked there. I didn't see it. Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't even show it. You didn't almost on
No,
Let's say take two animals that are kosher and you mix them. You wouldn't even necessarily do that.
not because you have a masod in both. Yeah. So abomin hator tor. So okay. Someone asked me a shaila. Again, I'm just dealing with the shailas that people ask, and So someone asked his wife would really like to make a shlisel challah, but it was Erev Shabbos, and didn't get a chance. Erev Shabbos, Erev Pesach, Erev Shabbos, Motzah Pesach. By the time you put the Pesach, the conditions away, by the time you clean up the house, his wife wanted to make a shlisel challah and didn't get a chance. Could you make it for next year?
By the way, that was a similar question that I had. My wife said, she just found out about it, so I contacted you and. Yeah.
Okay. So, Tashlumim. So,
It's from the Torah?
it's not. So I said, you know what? What's the reason? So I've in the Sefer Minog Yisrael been three reasons from the Oyev Yisrael. One is in Pshat, not the way Chazal darshan. That after they brought the korban omer, they started eating the two of them at Yisrael. So till now, for 40 years, they had man. Now they need parnasa. So now we're mispalel to the Eibishter that he should give us the keys for parnasa. Another Another reason is that we're counting Sfiras Omer in order to get into the Memte Sharibina. So there's 49 gates. So we're trying to get a key to get into the gates. And another reason he says is because Pesach, the gates are all open. We open it up for Leonav and it stays open the whole Pesach. After Pesach, presumably the gates get closed. So we're trying to open it up again. Okay. Anyway, I mean, it's not a Chabad minute.
It's a minhag,
If it has to do, no. But today in Chabad, everyone's doing it because it's a school of a parnasa. It's a school of parnasa.
It's a look at the bakers. Those who sell it, the bakers.
So it is a lot of, there's a lot of bakeries do it. There's a lot of, it's not a Chabad minute per se, but a lot of people in Chabad like to do it because it's a school of a parnasa. So it's good parnasa. So
the Rebbe didn't do it.
No. So I mean, if it has to do with Sfira, like opening the gates, so the whole Sfira is good. If it has to do with Sfira, the whole Sfira is good, right? It has to do with Sfira Soimers, opening the 49 gates.
Oh.
So you can do it. So you can do it all 49 days. The first Shabbos you could. The second Shabbos, the third Shabbos, we're trying to open all 49 gates. It's still. You can still open up gates.
Which gates were opened by basically Elio and Avi?
Heavenly gates. I'm not sure. Some good gates.
No, is that also Shari?
No, not
Arvina?
should have been. Some gates. I don't know.
Maybe Shari Dimmer.
The gate of Shamayim.
What?
The gate of Shamayim.
So since I already put into the computer about the reason for Shlisul Chala, so everything comes up. So there's a Kovetz Gilyon Shari Tzion from Bobav. From Bobav. You never know what you find when you look for things. This is an old one. This is volume 4. This is very old. This is 30, 40 years ago. Reb Shmuel Horowitz schreibt in Yiddish, Wusse de Moker far Shlisul Chala. Unbelievable. So we'll finish off with this. He says that they have a Kabbalah and Bobiv, that there's a reason for a Shlisul Chala. Now this happens to be a very good reason, and it's a good one. So they have a story from the Maral. The Maral was sitting at the Seder. Now you were many homes. Today, I mean, in your own house, where you put your keys. So many times they have a little hook, sometimes next to the door, sometimes somewhere in the kitchen.
Hang it up.
You have a hook and you hang up the keys. Otherwise, you put the keys there, you put the keys here. Where do you put the car keys, these keys? You have 2-3 hooks, and that's where you put the keys. Everyone knows you find the keys here. Just like it's in your house, as always given in the Zaydas and the Elta Zaydas. If you have a key, you have a little hook, and that's it. And sometimes you have a ring of keys, 7-8 keys. You just hang it up on the hook when you come home. Your wife walks out of the house, she needs the keys, she chaps the keys. The Maral was no different. He had somewhere near this door, he had a little hook, and he had a ring with 7-8 keys. It was there. They were middle of the Seder, and the keys fell down. So instinctively, the Meshoras walked over and put it back up, fell down again. The Maral is looking, everything is Ashgocha. Something there. So he said to his Shammos, do me a favor. Open the ring and hang up one key at a time. Hang it up, wait a minute, then take it off. So hung up a key. Next.
Which one?
One key they put up and fell down.
Ah.
Says, okay, that's the key. Give me the key. It's the key to the Altneu Shul. It's the key, the Beis HaKnesses, and the main Beis HaKnesses in Prague. Beautiful shul. You can go there ad hayom. There's a shliach there, Manas Barash. Wonderful shliach. Beautiful shul.
Is it that one?
Huh?
Is it that one?
Yeah. So good. So he said, let's go. We got to go right away. So they go into the shul and they look around. Everything seems in order. So they look in the Aron Kodesh, and they had a minig that they kept a bottle of wine for Kiddush Vavdola. I mean, there's They make Machtach Kiddush, Abdullah, you make it in the basic Knesses, according to the old minig.
In the Aron Kodesh?
They used to keep in the Aron Kodesh
Yeah, yeah.
inside. Maybe there was that they usually kept their bottle of wine for Kiddush and Abdullah. You open up,
Not there.
and Maral suspects it's not good, so he checks it. It's blood. Night of Pesach. I mean, this is.
Blood libels is going.
So he pours it out. He cleans the bottle. He puts wine inside, puts it back in the Aron Kodesh, and that's it. Goes back home, locks it.
Next day.
Next day, you can imagine it's a hoopla, and the Maral is calm, and the police come, and the Galach comes, and the bishop comes, and Meshraib them, and this. You see, we proved, and they come, they grabbed Aron Kodesh, and he said, "Okay, say it's blood. Check it, drink." So they drink it, and it's taka wine. They had bushes, and they left.
No.
So that's why they after, but on Pesach, what can you do on Pesach? You can't do anything on Pesach. So right after Pesach, all the women, Lazeicha Danes, bake the challah in.
So the issue is not the challah in that case. The issue is the key.
Yeah.
You see the wine.
Yes. So you should have put a key on the bottle of wine. And they go
Where?
wine.
That's
The challah you can put when they bake it.
Yeah.
The wine, you can't-
Like put the aluminum foil around.
it's far away. Yes, that's why it was meaning there was nispashet around Prague and the Medinas that are around Prague. It was nispashet from all the reasons. This first of all, it's the best story. It's a great story. You could tell it at the Shabbos table together. So if you didn't yet make the Shlisel Challah, all 49 days are kosher. Make the Shlisel Challah and tell the story at the table.
Amazing story.
Okay.
How did the blood get in the bottle?
What do you mean? Some guy got in there. Some shumad. Then the story they said was a meshumad.
Shema,
Wow.
Yeah.
What's a machine?
So die Jiden von Prag in Spitz von Mariel am jeden Pesach gefeiert a doppelte Simche. Dankendig der Rebbeine Eulam für die neue Geula, was mit sie passiert. Der Pfarrer hat mit Tagen gewinnt, als wir soll machen, der erste Shabbos nach Pesach achala mit der Schlüssel, neuben auf uns denk von der Ness mit der Schlüssel. No, the Eibusher will help. We should have a big Ness. The Eibusher should give us the Schlüssel to the base of Mikdash HaShlishi.
How is it connected to bubble?
They had a Kabbalah. I'm just telling you, it was they said that they have a Kabbalah at the story.
Yeah, I know. Bubble fix a different.
Do we have 10 that wash?
I think hungry Syrian goes every place one. Right.
He happens to be a very nice guy.
It's close. Listen, Chris, yeah, Hodgepodge.
Rosen. It's question came up. It's whether for the next place. If Moshe gonna come, then gonna connect next place. What is the Babish mean? We know that they don't drink alcohol, right? Only wine. But alcohol made from wine, like honey. Some people say do, some people say don't do.
That's a good question. Someone came this week, this year to me with a bottle, and I said, I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
They got Amazon, everybody.
Couple of years I was wine, but I never opened it. Never opened it. But I remember like 5 years ago when my younger nephew he had a bar mitzvah. And bar mitzvah was, he was born on the other Nissan, but then they made it during Koromoid. And they were doing bar mitzvah in New Jersey, in Chabad house. And Shaliach put up cognac.
I think it's fine.
Extra cognac. I mean, I didn't drink. So like, okay, because I didn't drink. So people were drinking. I didn't drink because I thought like probably he can, because people saying, oh, no.
Right. Tzemach Tzedek said it in the name of the